Hey, how's it going, my friends? Hey, what's the last time we actually built something together? It's been a while, hasn't it? And when do we have the most fun on this channel? When we build stuff together. When we build stuff, when we get crazy stuff going, you know, who knows what's going to happen? You know what I mean? But seriously, let's get back to building things, and let's pause with spaceships for 5 minutes. All right, 4 minutes. No Star Wars for 4 minutes. I'm just kidding. I'm going to show you how to take regular containers like this. This is a coffee creamer container. Right here we have a protein shake container. Right? Matter of fact, I have not. When did I buy this? Hang on. Oh. Oh. Oh my God, how old is this? I just pulled this off a shelf. I don't know how long this has been sitting. Alright, but, you know, this big bad boy, I'm going to show you how to take regular containers, plastic containers around the house, and turn them into RC Airliner engine nacelles. Yeah, baby, I'm going to show you how to take this and turn it into an engine nacelle like sitting over there on my BAC 111. Come here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Come over here. Get over here. Okay, you see right here, this is my Mohawk BAC 111. Basically, these are the old engine nacelles that are still mounted. And all that is right there is a plastic soda bottle container. And the back end is a Styrofoam Cup, laminated and then painted with chrome paint. So I'm replacing those with newer molded, more scale BAC 111 engine nacelles. There are two types of engine nacelles for the BAC 111. There is the cigar-shaped engine nacelle, and then there's one that has a sound suppressor. It goes like that, but then it gets wider, and there's a sound suppressor in the back. And it's kind of an aerated sound suppressor, reminiscent of what like Rolls-Royce used to put on the Comet and a lot of other Rolls-Royce engines, like the Conway Rolls-Royce engines that were on the BOAC 707s of the early to mid to late 60s. Okay, so that's what we're doing in this video. We're going to take this, and we're going to take this Styrofoam Cup, and we're going to transform these two into an Airbus A310 EDF Airliner engine nacelle, stuff that you can make at home right now out of these things, because we're going to do it right now. I'm going to do it, you're going to watch me, and then you're going to do it at home, okay? And if you don't, I'm going to find out where you live, and I'm going to come and I'm going to beat your brains in. I'm just kidding. No. But basically we're going to do this, and we're going to take regular stuff that's sitting around your house and turn it into pretty close semi-scale EDF Airliner engine nacelles. A310 Airbus. Bam! It's not going to be that, but it's going to be big modifications, some cutting, some tooling, some painting, some swearing, some throwing stuff out windows. But if you follow along with what I do and you watch me, you can take stuff around the house and make parts for your RC airliners that you're making at home right now. I hope you are. Okay? Alright, come on, let's get building. We got work to do. Come on. This is serious stuff. Come on, let's go. You stay there. I'm going to go this way. But you keep watching, because there's stuff coming up. You can make yourself... You want coffee? Make some coffee. Make some tea or something. Maybe a chicken pot pie. Have some food. And watch what I'm doing. And then, you know, just do something. Because I'll be right back. Stay there. Don't go nowhere. I'll be right back. All right. Okay, look at all this. Look at this big mess of stuff. Okay, containers. Possible containers for a homemade, scratch-built Airbus A310 engine nacelle. Okay. Out of all these, I'm going to choose this and I am going to choose this styrofoam for the back end exhaust nozzle portion or exhaust bell of the engine for the A310. Now I'm building an A310. I've got 2 A310s coming and I think 2 more A300s. Actually, I got a Lufthansa A300 sitting right there. So it's like right there, man. It's like right out of camera view, man, and it's so freaking cool. You would die if you saw it, but we're not going to see it right now. So you can use any kind of cup. You can use a paper cup. Use an old Starbucks cup. God, it stinks, man. I'm telling you. That's what happens when you keep cups around if you want to use it for something. Make sure that you clean it out first. But we have right here, this is a smaller cup, but if you were using a smaller or building a smaller scale, or excuse me, a smaller scale bottle for a smaller scale A310. Now this would be perfect for like a 70 millimeter. Let me actually show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. Let me go grab an 80 millimeter. That would be perfect for this nacelle over here. Okay, here is an 80 millimeter Dr. Mad Thrust. Beautiful. Look at it. Isn't that beautiful? Just you're not a humdinger of an 80 millimeter multi-fan EDF. Look, it's just beautiful. You just wanna you wanna make a mad love to it. This is what you want to do. But this is perfect. This is an 80 millimeter. And this is perfect. This container right here is perfect for this 80 millimeter. You want to make sure that when you pick your container, whether you are using a 50 millimeter, 70 millimeter, or this 80 millimeter, you want to basically make sure that it is wide enough to fit in the aperture once you basically choose the EDF that you want. Okay, so basically what I'll do is a great tool for making sure that your EDF is, or your container is big enough to house your EDF. This is an 80 millimeter. Now the outer housing is always larger than, let's switch this to millimeters. Okay, it's actually, you want to go on the widest portion of it. And it's actually about 87 millimeters. The inner portion is 80 millimeters, okay? The inner actual circumference diameter is 80, outer is about 87. So you want to make sure that the container that you choose, the main compressor cowl inlet, is going to be, and it is, let's actually go all the way to 90 millimeter. That's bigger than what we need. And of course it can house it. It can fit it easily. Perfect. This is perfect for what we want. So let's get rid of all these other containers because we don't need these. We're not going to use these, so let's get rid of all this. Okay, now that we have chosen our container, what we are going to do now is we are going to go ahead and we are going to cut away the wrapper from the container. So just take a regular X-Acto knife, and we're just going to cut it away. Very gentle, because you don't want to cut the actual plastic. The plastic of the container. You just want to cut away the wrapper. All right. See, now the good thing about this also is it's white to begin with. It's white to begin with, so we really don't. We don't have to put too much paint over it because it's already white, which is a good thing. Okay, we got the wrapper off. We took the wrapper off, okay? So we have the main container. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to mark off the actual intake lip portion and the actual opening for the EDF. Now, this is important, what we're about to do. Now, what I'm going to do is something easy. You just take a container that roughly matches, let's take the spackle container, and it roughly matches the circumference of the air inlet that we want. And if we want to modify it, we can, and we can make it larger. And if you want to make it smaller, you can just use a smaller container. It's really not that hard. So let's go ahead and take a marker. All right, we got this. And something that's very important is you have to center it. You got to center it perfectly, because if you don't, it's going to be screwed up. So we got to center this. We got to get this centered. And then we take a marker and we go ahead and we just draw around the circumference like so. And it's, you know, you gotta eyeball it, but you gotta be accurate like that. See, you just take the marker. See, it's a little off. You can clean it up a little bit. But when we Dremel it out, we can really make any kind of correction that we need and make it perfect. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to cut that out. That is good. We're going to get rid of that. And this is thicker. The bottom of that is thick plastic. So I'm going to come in and Dremel it out with a cutting saw. Dremel it out and then come in with a rotary bit and then clean up that and then hand sand it and clean that up. And then what I'm going to do is, well, actually what I probably should do that first. That'd probably be the easiest thing to do, because you have structure. See, what I was thinking of doing, and what I do sometimes, is I'll cut the back end of it off first, but I think it'll be easier to do it this way. So let's go ahead and let's cut this out now. Let's cut this out now and get that cut out. But before we do that, why don't we at least mark off where we want the back end of the nacelle to be? So if we look at this container, and why I chose this creamer container is because, as you can see, it has that natural narrowing back towards the end of the cowl, of the exhaust portion, or the actual trailing edge of the cowl. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this caliper again, and we're going to go ahead and mark off right about there. Okay? And we take our marker, and this is how you create a perfectly symmetrical line straight across and cut the back end of it off so that it's perfectly straight and not crooked. Is you take your caliper and you go ahead and you go like this. Right? You take your caliper. Right? Take your caliper and you take your marker and you mark off right like that, right? And just keep doing that. You go around the circumference and you make little marks like that. See what I'm doing? Just like that. All right? This is why these calipers, man, they're worth their weight in gold. I love them. And by doing this, we're creating a line, a cutting line, that we can then come in and with a scissor, we can then come in and cut the back end of this cowl off. And it's really easy. See? Like that. See the line that we have? See that? Okay, now I'm going to get, in order to clean that line up, this is a Staedtler flexible curve. It's kind of like a ruler, but it's flexible, so you can go around curves, and you can. It's really handy. It's a good tool. I enjoy having it, and I'm glad that I have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to spin it and rotate it and twist it around the curve here. Okay? And that way, I'm going to get the exact curve that I want, and I'm going to get an exactly straight line. You see what I'm doing? I line this flexible ruler up with all the marker points that I've made, like so. Alright? Make sure that's straight. And I come in with my marker, and I'm basically connecting the dots as now I got a relatively straight line, and that's a cutting line. So I've got the main inlet opening for the engine, and then I got the trailing edge there. And of course I have the rear exhaust port. This is just a regular styrofoam cup of noodles, and I'm going to cut out the rear portion, obviously, because that's going to be the main exhaust port. And I'm going to cut that out. So, matter of fact, while we're sitting here, let's do that right now. I can take a regular X-Acto knife, and I just hand cut it. Just cutting along the inner wall, and I'm cutting away the bottom of the styrofoam cup. Be careful of your hands. Watch where your hands are. Watch where the razor blade is, and you don't want to slip it too. And we'll come in with some sandpaper, and we'll sand that smooth. But basically, that's where the exhaust from the EDF is going to come out. I mean, it's not going to be set up exactly like that. This portion won't be right up against that like that, but see? Back, so we're going to go outside and we're going to Dremel with this rotary bit right here. We're going to Dremel, and then we're going to use this this rotary bit, this cylindrical shaving spinner or cutting spinner, and we are going to cut out the main intake hole for our cowl. Alright, let's get rocking. Okay, Demon Driver here. We're back here again. We got our container, soon to be engine nacelle. We're going to cut the main intake out. I'm going to go ahead and put my dust mask on because we're going to have plastic shavings everywhere. Okay. I got my Dremel 8220. This is a very good handheld Dremel that I use with a flat rotary bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and just preliminarily cut out plastic, and then I'm gonna come in with a rotary bit and clean that up. So let's get started. Okay, here we are. We got some jaggy, so we come and pick it out with our hand. Just pick off the pieces of melted plastic with your hand. Pick those out. we just run it along, and whatever we can't get, we just go ahead and get a flexible sanding pad. And we just come in and get them. You want to be careful not to scratch it up too much. If you scratch it up, it'll show up when you paint it. There you go. Okay, next bit we're going to cut the back end here, but let's go ahead and let's clean up this exhaust port of our Styrofoam cup. Take our flexible pad, stick it in there like so, and just very gently rotate this. Like that. Very gently. Okay, we're back, RC Airliner fans. Alright, now we have the main intake hole for our EDF cowl for our A310. Now, the next step we're going to do is we're going to cut the back end off. So, the first thing we want to do is we want to start what I call a starter hole. Now the starter hole, we're going to cut it off with a scissor, but a starter hole kind of gets everything going without, you don't want to punch through with the scissor first. You want to create a starter hole behind the main line, the main cut line. And the reason for that being, you're not starting with a mistake, you're starting outside the line. That way you have to come in to the line with the scissor. So plastic is always going to be thickest at the seams of the two part of the mold of the plastic. So always cut in between that, because that's where it's thinnest. See? Cut right through there like that. Now you can hand cut this if you want. You can do that. I could go around with the razor, but it's probably not going to be as exact as I can get with the scissor. So make sure you have a sharp scissor. So you come in, and this is what you do. You slowly start to come in on the line, and you find the line, you come in onto the line, and you just cut. Line it up, very careful cuts. Cutting very carefully along the line, very carefully, very carefully. The sharper the scissor, the better. Now where they two meet up, you got to be real careful. Ride the line. See that? See, we're riding the line, baby. Look at that. Hey, perfecto mundo. Look at that, huh? Got a little bit of a lip there. I gotta clean that up. Clean that up. Okay, one of the most important things that we're going to do right now in the creation of our homemade Airbus A310 engine nacelle is this Styrofoam cup by itself is too weak and too flimsy to be part of this engine nacelle by itself as it is. So we have to strengthen it. How are we going to do that? The easiest, quickest way is to get 2-part epoxy, 5 minute, just to save time I'm using 5 minute. But you can use laminating resin like I use sometimes to laminate noses, like I did with that video where I laminate foam parts, like a foam nose section of the A310 that I'm working on. But we're going to do that with this Styrofoam exhaust nozzle. So let's go mix up our 2-part epoxy that's already been poured out in 2 parts. To save time, I'm using a 5 minute. But we got to be real quick. You mix it together. I've been doing this for a long time, so I don't need mixing cups. I just go by dead reckoning because You know, you don't need to be exact. So we go ahead and we take a big brush and we brush it on our cup. We go ahead and brush a nice layer of this epoxy straight onto the cup. Just like this. Get a nice even layer. If you don't get them, what will happen is it'll get stuck in the paint. Okay, let's let that sit and set. There we go. Okay, we're back. Now, we're going to go ahead and paint the interior of the main cowl, compressor cowl, or turbine cowl of the, or intake cowl, whatever the hell you want to call it, of our A310 engine nacelle. Now we got some flat acrylic dull paint. It's matte finished, you know, dull. It's flat. That way it's not glossy, because you don't want the interior picking up gloss. That's what you don't want. So let's go ahead and take a brush and let's start brushing the black into the interior of our A310 engine nacelle. And we just go around and we just paint it. See? Paint the interior. That way it's nice and black, because, you know, most airliner or most passenger plane jet engine inner intakes are not, you know, they're dark. So in order to have that, we're going to go ahead and paint the interior dark. If we get a little paint on the outside, it's okay, just rub it off. That's a good thing about water-soluble paint like this. If you make a mistake, it's not permanent. So we just keep painting. And you can see where you're going to have any kind of problems with streaking or anything. You can see it through the plastic, like I'm seeing right now. See? And I'm using an old, believe it or not, one of my girlfriend's old makeup brushes that I stole from her. These are great for painting with, they're really great, because they really give you a very, they don't streak as much as regular brushes. All brushes streak, but nowhere near as bad. Look at that, that's pretty cool. There we go. This is what you can do at home, I'm telling you. You can do this at home. There's no reason you can't. Everything that I'm doing, you can do. The only difference with me is I've been doing it longer. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're a scratch builder and you've been doing it longer than me. Possible. Maybe you're just watching this for kicks. See? Not cool. Get around the lip, make sure we got the whole thing. See? So that way, when it's inside, it's perfectly blackened out, like a real engine nacelle. It's blackened out. Okay, so we're moving along pretty well with this nacelle. Now, I want to show you what these are. These are what I call spacers, okay? These are balsa spacers, and they basically allow the back end of the exhaust portion of the nacelle to ride inside without causing any kind of friction, and allow for smooth airflow all the way through the nacelle. That's very important. Okay? And also to have this removable so that you can remove the nacelle from the actual EDF mounting, as the EDF is mounted on the pylon on your EDF airliner. In order to release and get to all the mounting bolts, you have to remove the cowl. So that is why it's important to take the next step that we're going to take, and that is to add in the mounting bolts that will allow us to mount and screw this piece into place and have it be an integral part of this cowl. Because your EDF airliner with two 80mm EDFs can be going in excess of 80-90 miles an hour. So you want to have everything robust and strong. So let's go ahead and let me first show you what these are made from. This is a 1/2 inch balsa strip, and what you do is pretty easy. You just take a little handsaw, okay, and just simply cut a triangular leading edge. Go ahead and cut that by hand. See? And then just real easy, nice and easy. Just like that. See? That is that piece. And you just epoxy it to the side, and you put 3 on like that, and there you are. It's that easy. Okay, now let's go ahead and drill in our mounting holes, our screw holes, so that we can mount this into position. Now what's very important right now that we do is that we get it so that it is perfectly positioned and that it's perfectly straight. That is vitally important, because if it isn't, and if it's crooked, what's going to happen is when it's mounted on the plane, there's the potential that it could so conceivably direct the thrust either up or down, or to the right or to the left, and that's not good. You never want that to happen. You never want that to happen, ever. So we're going to start with one of the 3 we're going to start with. We got a Dremel here. See? I'd have it about 15,000 RPM. 10,050. This is a great tool. This is the Dremel 8220. Great handheld tool. Great cordless rotary cutter. Or drill. I'm starting to sound like a commercial. Alright, let's line it up and let's drill our first hole. There we go. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to screw in our first screw. Right. Let's go ahead and put our first screw in. There we are. Good. And there we are. And there we are. All 3 mounting screws are in position. We got the spacers, the balsa spacers, Now, let's take everything apart again. Now we're going to paint the two parts. Okay, what kind of paints are we going to use? In order to save time for this video, I'm going to use Rust-Oleum's Universal 2-in-1 paint and primer all-in-one. This is going to give us, this is a fast drying gloss white primer and paint, and then we're going to use Duplicolor Chrome. Okay, again, this is fast drying, it's relatively inexpensive. This is $4 or $5, $3 to $5. This is about $5 to $6, $7. You can get this at auto parts stores. Now, because time is of the essence, and because I don't have, millions of years of time, I can't use two certain paints that I want to show you. What I'm about to show you are the highest gloss paints you're going to find for these two applications. For white, Rust-Oleum Appliance Epoxy appliance paint for painting refrigerators, stoves. This is the highest gloss white paint I've ever seen out of a can. The downside is it takes almost 2 days to dry. You see Eve down there? That's this. She has that gloss and shine because of this type of paint. It takes almost 2 days to dry once it's been sprayed on with a good couple of coats. That's the downside. You can't touch it or anything for 1.5 to 2 days. It's sticky and it doesn't set for a while. It takes a while, but once it sets, great stuff. The best chrome paint I've ever seen out of a can is Spazstick's Mirror Chrome. This is the best chrome paint out of a can. Again, the downside for this video is it takes at least 20 to 24 hours to dry properly. Okay? But man, once it dries, this stuff is amazing. This stuff is amazing. These two paints, okay, but because time is of the essence, I want to use faster paints, and this is good stuff. This is a primer and a gloss in one, and this is relatively good chrome. Okay, now it's time to paint. I'm using a big piece of cardboard to keep the two pieces separated because I'm using a chrome and I'm using a white. The main compressor cowl is going to be white, and the exhaust port nozzle is going to be chrome. So I want to keep them far enough apart so I don't cross-contaminate the paint. And of course I have my respirator. Never paint any kind of aerosol without a respirator. Don't be stupid. Just don't be stupid. Okay? Always use a respirator. Okay, now we're going to let those dry for a little while. I would say on the safe side, an hour. Okay? When it says fast drying, that means about 45 minutes to an hour. That means to be able to touch it, give it about 45 minutes to an hour. Okay? And then you can touch it and you can move them around. If not, if you mess with them too early before they've dried, you're going to get fingerprints all over your paint. Okay, I'm back. Now remember I showed you the Spazsticks? This is very expensive. I use it sparingly, but it's such good paint. It's the best chrome paint I've ever seen out of a can. I'm going to use it for this. I'm going to paint on the aluminum air inlet shroud for the for our handmade engine nacelle. And I'm going to freehand it with this paint. That's how good it is. I'm going to go ahead and just freehand it straight on. I sprayed a little bit into this cap. Now this is not water soluble, so yeah. So we're going to start off by just adding a little bit. And we're just going to freehand it. Okay, the last bit, we've got our chrome. After we got our chrome lip around the leading edge of the inlet, go ahead and take some gloss white paint and just paint over the your screws, your mounting screws for the rear end of the exhaust nozzle. Well, there you go, my fellow scratch builders. That's how you take these and turn them into this. Your very own handmade scratch-built RC Airliner engine nacelle, engine cowl. This could fit beautifully on an A310, a DC-10, many airliners. This would look good on. And all it is just one plastic container and one styrofoam cup, a couple pieces of balsa wood, 3 screws, some laminated, a laminated tail portion, and paint. That's it. That's it. It's that easy. Alright, so no excuses. Please get building. And if you have any questions about any parts that you want to know how to make on any airliners or any RC airplanes, please ask me a request or to make a video. Like if you want to know how to make, let's say, flaps, slats, engine pylons, anything, a nose section, how to mount landing gear, anything you want to do or anything you need to know how to do or you don't know how to do, please ask me in the comments section or send me a private message. I would be grateful because it took probably 10 requests to make this video, but I finally made it. So there's stuff sitting around your house right now as we speak, things sitting around your house like containers that are waiting to become RC airliner parts or fighter jet parts. Your wife's favorite hair dryer. There's RC airliner parts in that. So take it, scrap it. She won't mind. She won't mind. Just take it. Do it. Live on the fringe, man. Live on the edge. Just, telling you. You just tell her, hey, honey, I'm scratch building a DC-10. I'm making an A310, honey. So just ease up. We'll buy another air conditioner. We'll buy another air conditioner. Yeah, you scrap your air conditioner too. Scrap that. There are parts in there that are waiting to become airliners. Just do what you got to do. Okay? Well, this is Demon Driver. Thank you for watching. Thank you for always subscribing and watching my videos. And I appreciate it. Bye-bye.